Alright guys, Captain Paul here. Today I am driving home from a meeting with Dockmate. Show you a couple pictures here of what happened during that meeting, but I think it was great, and I think it really, working with Larry and Peggy on this last boat, it opened my eyes because a couple of statements like Larry made was, this is much tougher than I thought it was going to be. And why I'm saying that is because I think it is. There's too many elements to it. And what I mean by that is, like, docking a boat is not as easy as a lot of, like, people think that it's you just push the throttle forward, then you push it and you got neutral, and then you got reverse, and the boat just does what you want it to do. But what you got to remember on these boats is you're driving a vehicle, and we're just going to use your car as an example, and you have 4 tires sitting on the road. Well, wind doesn't really affect you. It can, extreme wind. I'm from Vegas. So, but for the most part, you're just driving along and you're planted on the road. All 4 tires are planted on the road. Unless you get into rain or ice, you really don't have much effect from that, from the road. So your car, you got 2 wheels up front that steer the car, and propulsion. They could be a front wheel drive or a rear wheel drive. That's a whole different animal. But you got propulsion, and then you got your wheels. You turn your wheel, your car turns. You put the car in drive, and it goes forward. Sorry about that. Motorcycle going by. You put the car in reverse, and the car goes backwards, and you're planted on a solid surface. And typically, the car will do exactly what you tell it to do. Well, when you're on a boat, and this is a real reason, like I'm over here with Dockmate today talking about all this, because if we could take out some of the stress of the boating, it may open it up and extend some people's boating career, and then at the same time, it could open up the boating career for somebody that's less talented. I think Larry and Peggy will do okay. The big question is, what will their learning curve be, and what will it cost them? And then do they, how far do they take this? Because when you guys watch those videos, you can see that thruster is, I was talking to the thruster guy today, and I mentioned the thruster on it. He goes, it's pretty weak, isn't it? And I go, well, I don't want to use the word weak. I go, it's almost non-existent. Because he says, well, if you do this one, it'll be about 20% more power. And I said, I don't think you understand what I'm saying here. He goes, I go, this is an original 1982, and it's, it's almost like you can see a little bit of water moving. You can hear some propellers moving, and maybe if we put new propellers on it, it might increase it a little bit, but it really is almost like having nothing. It will move the front end in no wind and no current conditions after a few seconds. I go, so your 20%, I would say right now anything would be better than what we have. And he kind of laughed. He goes, he kind of chuckled under his breath and said, yeah, I understand. Because, it's just like anything, kitchen appliances, anything, everything, it's just time, and it needs to be dealt with, and whether that's a replacement or whether, and then how far do we take it? Do we put the full-blown Dockmate system in, or do we, make it really take out even more of the stress, because that requires even more and stuff like that. But the whole purpose, of putting these thrusters on and putting these dock controls on, because basically to have really good control of your boat, you need 3 points of thrust. So it doesn't matter. It could be your two. If I got a twin screw boat, it would be your two engines and your one thruster. So you have 3 different points. So and basically that would be a bow thruster, 2 propulsion engines, and gives you 3 points. But you can even take it a step further and go to 4 points. But like on Larry's single screw, the one we just got through training on, that has only got a single screw in it, so the best you could do is the 3 points. You can put a stern thruster, a bow thruster, and an engine. I want to hear your guys in the comments. What do you guys think? Is the 36 Manatee with its extra height, you know, does it make it worth, you know, spending that money to put on, you know, the bow, upgrade the bow thruster, put a stern thruster on it, and put the Dockmate on it, so that gives you all 3 points of thrust to make the boat more viable when they get done with the loop. Would it increase the price of the boat, or would they lose all that money putting that kind of money in it, or do they just upgrade the thruster and call it good? I want to hear what you guys think in the comments. But my point is, when you get the boat and you're in the water, the thing that I don't think a lot of people think about is, like I said, on the road here, you got 4 points of contact, very little effect by wind. It might push you a little bit, but it's not going to move the car. When you're out there in the boat and you're trying to dock the boat or come off the dock in the boat, everything affects you. So you got the wind, and the wind is pushing you, and a lot of these boats are big sails, and so when that wind catches you, it can move the boat, and it kind of skids it across the water. And same thing with current. The current will always outbeat wind, and the way the current works is it's like with the polar. So when the moon comes out, it's an incoming current, and as the moon pulls away, it pulls all the water out, so now you got an outgoing current. I hope I said that right. I'm sure somebody in the comments will correct me on that if I'm wrong. But anyway, and then so it's all lunar, and these currents, they're not every 12 hours. It's more like 12 to 16-hour type rotations, and anybody checks the current, you can kind of see that it's, you know, between that 12 and 16 hour, 12, 14 hours, somewhere right there, we get this, the water, it goes up and it goes down, and they're constantly changing, and the more current you have, so as the water's being evacuated from all of these bays, it creates turbulence in the water, which is sucking all the water out of the bay. So that's affecting the way your boat's handling. And then as the current switches and goes the other way, it'll make the boat shift the other way. So you got to be very careful with that. And then they have what they call, what we call in the industry, is what they call a slack tide. So slack tide is at the bottom or the top of each tidal service, and that is a time that you can effectively move your boat without being affected by current. Now you still have wind. So there's a lot of elements, and then another thing, especially you single screw guys, and you got to really think about this, the rotation of the prop actually shifts the boat in the water too. So there's 3 things, and just so you know, like on a twin screw boat, that's why you have 2 engines turning in different directions to eliminate that rotation, that counter rotation that pulls the back end, and that's why the 2 transmissions rotate the props in different directions. And then forward and reverse, every boat's a little bit different and handles a little bit different. And then your controls, whether you have electronic controls, whether you have straight controls, whether you have twin sticks, single sticks, there's so many factors involved. And then it's how old your engines are, how much horsepower you have. Everything affects the maneuverability of your boat. You know, like a really, really nice maneuverable boat, I would say, would be like a twin screw 300, when you start getting to the 300 horsepower Cummins, or just about anything with 300 horsepower, makes for a really nice maneuverable boat with no thrusters. The problem with the low horsepower, like my old Southern Estate, is it only has twin 200 or 120 horsepower Lehman engines in it. So when you put that in gear, it goes a little bit slower. You got to wait for the boat to react, and those big props to actually do something, and it takes a few seconds. And when that few seconds can seem like an eternity when the boat's sliding into a post or another boat or something like that. And then you got to start adding throttle, and then you got twin sticks, and it becomes a mess really quick. Again, I want to hear in the comments, all you guys that own boats and your twin screw boats, you know, explain to these guys what I'm talking about, because it is definitely a consideration. And you know, I don't want to be negative about it, but it does make for a small or even let's call it a medium-sized learning curve when you're learning to drive a boat. So if we could take out some of that, and I would never, ever, ever teach somebody how to drive a boat that couldn't drive the boat, and it doesn't matter whether it's single screw or twin screw, with your sticks. And the reason it is because new technology fails just like anything else. And there's certain situations, like up in the Erie Canal, when there was a dillweed, you know, overabundance of dillweed in front of the lock. So anytime the thruster would suck that in, it would just shut the thruster down, because it was just like weeds getting stuck in the propellers, and those little plastic propellers can't take that. So then you have to dive down, clean them out. It doesn't matter whether it's bow or stern. So there is certain situations where no thruster is going to do you much good of anything. So I always preach learn how to drive your boat with your sticks. And the problem with that, or not the problem with that, the thing that I will say is that for those that can do this, I would highly recommend that you have all the tools at your access to successfully dock your boat. And in those rare situations when you can't use the thruster, not for reasons that even failures for the thruster through where, let's call it the weather, you know, like, because when that dillweed comes out, or anything that comes in the water there that affects the thruster, you know, you may have to shut the thruster down, and you got to know when to use it and when not to use it. And that has happened to me actually a few times, actually. Even at work down in Little Palm, we get these this grass that comes through the bay there, and when that grass is in there, you can't use your thrusters because it just plugs up the thruster. Anyway, I want to hear in the comments what you guys think. If you could, would you have a Dockmate on your boat? Would you have thrusters? Would you suggest single screw, or would you suggest twin screws? I really struggle. I'm a single screw guy. That's what I learned on, with no thrusters. And then I switched over to twin screws, and it really was a drastic learning curve for me. And I really, you know, I'll be perfectly honest with you, I struggled with it. So anyway, I want to hear in the comments what you guys say. Anyway, just a quick little video here. Thank you guys so much for all the support. Make sure you go to the store, check out safewake.org. Anyway, I appreciate all you guys. Thank you so much. Peace out. Have a great day. Bye.